Welcome everyone to another deep dive. Today we're exploring the fascinating world of sleep. And no, we're not drowning you in research papers.
Right. We're going straight to a captivating book called The Secret World of Sleep.
This book had me hooked from the start. We all talk about how important sleep is,
It's essential.
but it's wild to think even amoebas, those tiny, single-celled organisms, have sleep-like states. Like, what's the deal with that?
It really makes you wonder about just how fundamental sleep is, right? And it gets even more intriguing when you think about the dangers involved.
How so?
Well, imagine being a parrotfish, just trying to get some shut-eye on a roof. They basically become, sitting ducks for predators.
Talk about high stakes, so why bother sleeping if it's that risky?
Exactly. It's an evolutionary puzzle, and this book, it dives into how some species have evolved these amazing strategies. Like what?
Well, like these parrotfish, they actually create this, kind of slimy cocoon around themselves, almost like a sleeping bag. It's pretty wild.
Okay, that's both clever and kind of gross. But fascinating. So it's like a built-in defense mechanism.
Exactly, to deter those predators.
Yeah.
And it's not just parrotfish. The book also talks about dolphins and their, let's just say, unique sleep habits.
Oh, yeah. What do dolphins do?
They've evolved to sleep with only one half of their brain at a time.
What?
Yeah, split brain sleep. It lets the other half stay awake to watch out for danger and even, control their movement so they can stay afloat.
So they're multitasking even in their sleep. That's incredible. But it still has me wondering, why go through all that trouble? If sleep makes you so vulnerable, what makes it so essential? That's the million-dollar question, right? And while we don't have all the answers, The Secret World of Sleep dives into the crucial role sleep plays in how our brains function. Things like memory consolidation and emotional regulation.
Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff.
Yeah.
Let's unpack this because I'm ready to move beyond just sleep is good for you. So sleep, it's a must-have, not a nice-to-have. But what happens when we skimp on it? We've all been there, right? That feeling of, after a bad night. But is it really a big deal?
It can be a bigger deal than we realize. I mean, we might feel like we can power through after one bad night.
I've done it.
Right. We've all been there. But this book, The Secret World of Sleep, it highlights some pretty alarming things about not getting enough sleep. Even if we feel like we're functioning okay, our decision-making. Yeah, it might already be taking a hit.
Really? It's that sneaky.
Unfortunately, yeah. The book actually compares the effects of sleep deprivation to, get this, alcohol.
Hold on. You're saying pulling an all-nighter for exams is like, what, having a few drinks?
Essentially, that's what the research is suggesting. There's this crazy fact in the book. It says being awake for just 5 hours can be like having a drink, at least in terms of how it messes with your brain.
Okay, now that's a scary thought. It makes you realize, how careful you got to be driving when you haven't slept well.
Absolutely. It impacts reaction time, judgment, the whole 9 yards.
But it goes beyond just feeling sluggish, right?
Yeah.
What else does sleep deprivation do to us?
Well, for starters, it can increase the risk of some serious health problems. Think heart disease, diabetes, even some types of cancer. It's not just about feeling tired, it's about your health.
Okay, those are some serious consequences. I think we tend to forget, how vital sleep really is. But let's shift gears for a second, talk about memory. I gotta say, I was blown away by that story in the book about Randy Gardner, the kid who stayed awake for 11 days straight. 11 days.
Yeah, Randy's experience, it's a powerful example of just how connected sleep and memory are.
It's insane he even managed to stay awake that long.
Yeah.
But the book mentioned his thinking and memory were all over the place.
Absolutely. Big time. He had hallucinations, memory lapses, the works. It was rough. And, while Randy's case is extreme, it really highlights how crucial sleep is for solidifying memories.
So how does sleep actually help our brains store information? Is it like hitting save while we're unconscious?
It's a bit more dynamic than that. During sleep, our brains, they're basically replaying the neural activity of new information, of skills we've picked up. It's like practice for your neurons while you sleep.
Wow. That makes sense, though. We've all had that feeling of being better at something after a good sleep.
Exactly. There's this one study the book talks about, people learning a finger tapping sequence, complex stuff. Their performance, it shot up after a night of sleep. Their brains were hard at work making those neural connections stronger while they were out cold.
So it's not just about storing memories. It's about making them stick. Amazing. But what about our emotional memories? Like those really vivid, charged events. Why do those stick with us so strongly?
Good question. It's because our brains, they're wired to prioritize emotionally charged stuff.
It's all about survival, right? The book dives into this. Makes sense. It's like our brains are saying, hey, this was a big deal. Don't forget it.
Exactly. And there's a specific part of the brain that's key here, the amygdala.
The amygdala.
Seems familiar.
It's like our brain's built-in danger detector. Whenever something intense happens, good or bad, the amygdala lights up. That's the signal for the rest of the brain. This is important. Remember it.
So during those edge-of-your-seat moments in movies, that's my amygdala working overtime.
Precisely. And here's the cool part. The amygdala, it works with another part of your brain, the hippocampus, which is all about memory. They tag team to make sure those emotional memories really get etched in.
So it's like the amygdala hits the alarm, and the hippocampus grabs the camera, high def all the way. Love the analogy. But it gets even more interesting. The book talks about how sleep, it might not just be strengthening those emotional memories, but also suppressing the everyday, mundane ones.
Right, what? Our brains play favorites with our memories.
Think of it as efficiency. Our brains are bombarded with information. It wouldn't be efficient to remember every little detail. It prioritizes what's most likely to be useful.
Okay, that makes sense. But if it's already doing that, can we control what we remember? Like, what if I really need to remember something for work, but it's not exactly thrilling stuff?
That's where it gets really cool. The book actually suggests that we can use our sleep, influence it, to boost our memory, even for, less than thrilling stuff.
Wait a minute. Are you saying I can hack my brain to remember things better?
In a way, yes. It's about the power of intention. The book talks about studies showing that simply believing information is important can actually make you recall it better after you've slept on it.
Get out. So, just telling myself something's important before bed helps my brain prioritize it.
That's what the research is pointing to. It seems our intentions, our beliefs, they can influence how our brains prioritize and solidify those memories overnight.
Okay, this is blowing my mind. So, setting intentions before bed, it's like giving my brain a to-do list for the night.
I like that. It's about being mindful of what you want to retain, giving your brain the heads up. And beyond just mindset, the book also talks about sleep hygiene.
Sleep hygiene, right. I've heard that term, but what's it really about?
Think of it like this. It's creating the best possible conditions for quality sleep. The book talks about things like light exposure, making sure your bedroom's the right temperature, minimizing distractions. It's about peace and quiet for your sleep space.
So like, ditch the phone before bed, make sure the room's cool and dark, maybe invest in some blackout curtains.
All great examples. And don't forget consistency. Our brains, they love routine, so a regular sleep schedule, it's like magic for regulating your natural sleep rhythm.
Like setting a schedule for your brain to wind down.
Exactly. You take these steps, you give your brain the best chance to do its thing, which includes holding on to those memories you want to keep.
This has been eye-opening. I never realized how much is going on up there while we're sleeping. It really is like a secret world, just like the title of the book.
Right. And the more we understand it, the better we can use it to our advantage. Better sleep, better health, better memory, better everything.
My mind is officially blown.
Let me know if it still works after a good night's sleep.
I'll be testing out all these tips tonight, that's for sure. Yeah. So, where to next on our sleep journey? So we've covered how sleep helps us lock in those memories, but what else is going on while we're out cold? There's got to be more to it.
Oh, there's definitely more. The book also explores the connection between sleep, memory, and, get this, our emotions. Remember how we were saying our brains, they love those emotionally charged memories?
Right, got to prioritize the big stuff.
Exactly. Well, sleep, it turns out, is key in regulating those emotional memories, too.
Okay, so it's not just replaying those intense moments. We're actually, processing them somehow.
Exactly. Think about a time you were maybe overwhelmed, super emotional, right? After a good night's sleep, you probably saw things a little differently. Calmer, maybe? It's like sleep. It gives your brain time to work through all those raw emotions.
That makes sense. I know I've definitely woken up feeling more level-headed after some solid sleep. But how does that work? Does our brain have some secret sorting system for emotions while we're out?
That's the amazing thing about sleep. The book, it explains how during sleep, the connection between our amygdala, that's the emotional center, and our prefrontal cortex, that's the rational thinking part, that connection gets stronger.
So sleep helps our rational brain make sense of those intense feelings.
Exactly. It's like our brain saying, okay, time to integrate these big feelings. This process, it helps us manage those emotional responses, maybe even see those memories in a new light.
Wow, that's fascinating. So not enough sleep, does that mean we're worse at processing emotions?
That's a big takeaway here. The book mentions studies that show sleep deprivation. It can make us way more reactive to stress, more likely to see things as threatening, even when they're not.
Wow, I never thought of it like that. It's like sleep deprivation. It doesn't just make us tired, but also turns up the volume on our emotions. No wonder we can be so on edge after a bad night. So we got to make healthy sleep a priority, right?
Absolutely. And the book has some great tips for that. Remember our chat about sleep hygiene? It's not just about a comfy sleep setup, but also prepping our minds for sleep.
So are we talking like bedtime routines here?
You got it. This book suggests things like a consistent sleep schedule, winding down at night with relaxing activities, ditching caffeine or alcohol close to bedtime.
It's all about creating those cues for your body and mind, getting it ready for sleep.
Exactly. It might seem simple, but those little things can make a huge difference in how well you sleep. And better sleep? Well, you're going to be better at learning, remembering, even handling those emotions.
This whole deep dive has been a serious eye-opener. I had no idea how powerful sleep really is for, well, pretty much everything. I'm definitely paying more attention to my sleep from now on. Before we wrap up, any final thoughts from the book?
Actually, there's this really interesting question at the end. It asks, if you could control your dreams to enhance your learning, would you?
Pretty wild, right?
Hello? Whoa, that's a thinker. Imagine harnessing dreams to make memory stronger, process emotions, even come up with creative solutions. That's next level stuff.
Right. And while we're not there yet, it makes you think about the potential of our sleeping brains. It really does. You know what? I'm going to be thinking about that tonight as I drift off. This has been an awesome journey into the secret world of sleep. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. And to all our listeners, thanks for tuning in. And here's to better sleep and even better brain power. Until next time.